Hello, my name is Thomas Hickman, Organizational Leadership Student, Capstone II, Unit 2. In this video, I'd like to reflect on my leadership ability when I first began the Organizational Leadership Applied Major coursework and focus specifically on what I knew or thought I knew about myself as a leader. So when I first started this coursework, I had gained some pretty good ability as a leader. I've had quite a few leadership positions. I work in marketing, some experiential, some digital, some in-house agency. I do some consulting for some major technology brands. Through this process of climbing the chain in an organic way, I did have some leadership abilities. It was I realize now after taking this course that it was far more managerial of your abilities. Sometimes you fall into the right sync where you are providing effective leadership skills to your team, and you have great mentors where you see how they lead people. You kind of pick up on their tendencies. That's mostly what I knew and what I had and how I had learned it. Was learning it from my own leaders and seeing how they were effective and how they were motivating their followers and being compassionate, empathetic, and also making sure that the operation was performing successfully and efficiently. So no formal education on the matter. I realize now I was a great manager and I lacked a lot of knowledge on leadership. Okay, next topic of discussion here is what key areas of learning occurred during or as a result of the content in the applied major courses. So let's start with issues in organizational leadership. So what kind of issues do we come across in organizations, and what does a leader have to prepare for, and how do they go about handling issues? Let's go down the list, and I'm going to start with failure to communicate. After all the research I've done, after all the readings we've done, all the writings and reflections and observing very successful leaders, it all comes back to communication. Google did an excellent test where they had an award for their employees to give their managers awards and accolades for what they do well and what they don't do well. Communication always came back as the number one thing that they did well or that they did not do well. And so communication is number one. Leaders must create a culture where communication is open and free, and followers feel like they have a voice and like their voice is accepted and that they're heard and that their ideas are heard. So going down the list after that, accountability, toxic leadership in the workplace, that's definitely an issue. If your leader doesn't have good charisma, understanding, communication, managerial skills even, it could get toxic. And if there's corruption, then it could be illegal and toxic. Lack of alignment between members, lack of vision. One of the most important things, probably second to communication, maybe first, maybe tied for first, is vision. Great leaders have a long-term vision for the future. Elon Musk is a great one. Leaders of Google, Apple, all these people, they're building their organizations based on 100 years from now when we're probably not going to be around anymore. Future people will be absorbing their organizations, and that's how they're building their companies and their company cultures. Poor execution, culture, again, huge. Self-confidence in leading. If you're a great manager but you're not a confident leader, it's going to be very hard to gain the respect and admiration of your followers, and you just won't have that natural ability that inspires people, motivates people to want to follow your lead. And also just another major issue in organizations, leaders that don't enable their employees to reach their full potential. Maybe they take too much control, or maybe they're too autocratic, but studies have shown that effective leaders enable their followers to become the best that they can be. Next course is data-driven decision-making. This was likely my favorite course. I've always considered myself an analytical and logical thinker. I love data. I love working with data and stats and giving forecasts for the future and making informed decisions based on logic and crunching the data from the past to make future decisions. It's always been a passion of mine. I love watching other people do it. I love doing it myself. The class showed me how to work with spreadsheets better and crunch numbers, put together graphs and charts that are visually pleasing, and also how to build a great presentation. That way, when you're consulting on, we should do X, Y, and Z because we know we have this data from the past and this is going to be the best way forwards. We have proof of it. We can forecast this is going to be the best thing for us to do. That's actually my passion, and I've been doing it for a while, and this actually helped me a great deal. It was tremendous. So I love data-driven decision making, and this is clearly the way of the future. All the big tech companies, even political parties, they're all using data to make informed decisions rather than gut decisions. So this was great. Love insights, love facts and knowledge. So, okay, next course, Behavior, Ethics, and Leadership. This was a beneficial course because it taught me several things about some of it's a little bit of culture, some of it's a little bit of ethics and morals. It opened my eyes to your personal values and morals and ethics and what you believe in and how you feel about things may be different than your organization's. In other words, what's good for your organization might not be good for you or vice versa. And a perfect example in a case study that we did was WorldCom. The CEO was pressuring his employees to falsify their income. They were actually in debt for 10 years. They're reporting that they're profitable. Misleading their investors is a huge issue. The CEO went to prison, and the company was initially bought out by one of his competitors. And a lot of the employees reported that they had basically PTSD from the experience. And it was a great example of how what leadership was advising the followers to do was not the right thing to do at all, even though if you are, if you're a good follower to your leader, you're going to do what you're told and not ask questions. It's very autocratic style. So it was eye-opening to how to treat people, how to stay within legal boundaries. Don't break the law when you're doing business, and then also just to be, your organization is kind of like an extension of a person. You want to be a good person, and you want to have a good organization. You don't want to mislead people. So the next topic of discussion here is leadership theory. To stay within our confines of time here, I will just go down the list. I'll start with the one that I believe is most important, transformational leadership, where leaders encourage, inspire, and motivate employees to innovate and create change that will help grow and shape the future success of the company. In other words, you are giving your employees, your followers, a voice. You're letting them be a part of the decision making. It's a very flat structure. You're promoting open communication, innovation, and in doing so, you're increasing recidivism, decreasing employee turnover, creating a great company culture, and ultimately studies have proven that this is the most effective way to run an organization. Profit or non-profit gain, you get the best final end product, and the best service and the best health of your employees by being in a transformational, democratic type of organization where everybody's got to say so, they feel important, and the voices are heard. Just running down the list real quick, we also have transactional theory, contingency theory. Leaders' effectiveness is contingent on whether or not the leadership style suits a particular situation. This is also important because every situation calls for a different type of leadership. If the tasks are tedious and mundane, it's the same thing day to day. There's less of a need for the followers to give their input, and maybe you're also in a huge global technology company where you need constant input to avoid or mitigate mishaps. So there's several different types of leadership theories. More than one could be applied in a situation. It's a leader's duty to figure out which one is the best per that situation, and also, as I said before, empowering your followers to contribute. The next course we have here is Leading Change. This course offered an in-depth analysis of prevalent issues related to organizational change. I'd like to first start by defining change management versus leading change. Change management is relative to the tools you use to keep change under control, and leading change is where you're guiding and fueling the change process, making it more efficient. Just to do a brief description of this, one thing that comes to mind is John Cotter's 8-step change model. Everything from establishing a sense of urgency, creating and guiding a coalition, developing a change vision, communicating a vision for buy-in, empower broad-based action, generate short-term wins, and never let up. So leading change can be tough. People are slow to adapt and adopt change. A great example is just payroll systems. People used to do it by paper. I've seen firsthand when all this new ADP and digital ACH started coming out, people still wanted paper checks so they could touch it and feel it and write everything down by hand and deliver it to their bank. And they didn't know that the digital way was best for them. It's faster, you get your money faster, and it's just as secure. So some things do take time, but it's up to the leader to inform their followers of why this is important and why it's good for them and why it's good for the whole organization. Reflecting on my first capstone, it was very challenging, but I learned a great deal, mostly due to the amount of reflection you're forced to do to complete the tasks. Allowed me to evaluate high-level leaders in profit and non-profit organizations, and it allowed me to interact with current leaders in these organizations through interviews. It allowed me to evaluate and reflect on my own experiences, having leaders above me, as well as being a leader of my own teams. I was able to look at past instances of successful leaders and then current instances of successful leaders, and really get to know how they performed and where they picked up on their methods, and then how they foresaw the future and the best practices, and compare it to what I believed in and then what I've learned, and how I need to move forward with my own leadership. So it was a ton of reflection, as a reflection on everything that we've learned, as well as who I was as a leader before and after the course, and what I need to do going forward. So it was great. It was a ton of reflection. It allowed me to interact with some really great leaders, and I believe that I too will be in their shoes. Who I am as a leader today, I'm more educated in a literal sense. I wish I knew what I know now about 8 years ago. I think I would have performed much better at some of my leadership or management positions. Going forward, I'm going to be much more empathetic. I'm going to put far more resources and time and just personal effort into getting to know the people that I'm leading and treating them more like humans in a position, as well as keeping a flat structure and empowering them to be the best leaders they can be. Before, that was not the case. I was kind of a manager checking boxes. I was all about efficiency, and my mindset was, we agreed to do the job, so let's do the job. And that was kind of the motivation. Not anymore. I realize now that there's a great amount of psychology in leadership and in effective leadership and the roles between a leader and a follower. So I feel like I'm more insightful. I'm definitely going to be more empowering. Going to be more patient now, because I realize how many emotions go into just working in a healthy, non-toxic environment. I plan to be more of a visionary. Some of the greatest leaders of our times and people that are future forward-thinking, modern global organization. I want to lead my organization based on where are we going to be after we're retired, or after we're long gone. Instead of where we're going to be at the end of the quarter, the end of the year. And then I also want to give back to the community. I want to start getting more involved in nonprofits and in leading the community without the incentive of a paycheck. We come to, where do I go from here, and what do I need to do to continue my leadership journey? First and foremost is always doing my own research and my own educating. I'm a huge fan of self-educating. There's tons of great resources and information out there. Books, journal articles, interviews, videos online, things of that nature. So the learning never stops, and that's actually one of the main points of an effective leader, is that they're always willing to continue learning, and I've been a huge proponent of that for years. So I still believe in it, and I intend to continue my own research and my own learnings beyond this course. I want to be a great leader for others. I want to, as I said before, empower others. I want to put a lot more of myself and my resources, my energy into empowering others that work around me, with me, my followers, you could say, an organization, or maybe if it's a nonprofit, then just community members. But I want to help people. I want to lead people to achieve this knowledge that I've achieved. And that brings me to my next point, is I want to get involved in nonprofits and improve society. Maybe it's in politics, or maybe it's in local community, or something with animals and the environment, corporate social responsibility, things of that nature. But I want to give back. I want to give back free knowledge, and I want to lead people to this free knowledge, so they too can have the experience that I've had, and then pass it on. I guess that's what it's all about. It's all about bringing society together and moving together, just like in an organization. I want the whole community to move together and to become the best we can be. So it's been a great experience, and thank you very much.